Two we just did.
Okay, great.
Mentally
Let
quick.
me ask you, because you've seen it a lot, is
I
there
think
ever
everything
a
else
precedent
is-
that if say the budget's 4 million and we're 40,000 over, that we just take a 0.01% out of everything and like, hey, we're even?
I've never,
Okay, great.
Let me ask you, because you've seen it a lot.
I don't know.
Is
if
there ever a
Okay.
precedent that if say the budget's 4 million and we're?
It's an idea, I don't know.
Okay, so
Because that way.
we're back out on
somebody- like,
YouTube, guys.
You know,
We
you
get
lose
us back
$6
to
off
40.
of 52,000 or something.
Interesting.
Motion to end executive
Hang on 1
session.
minute. Let me, okay.
It's like.
Yep.
I agree.
Motion to end executive session.
I'll second that.
Aaron. B, what time is it?
650.
Okay, so we have a
Yeah,
motion
I'm
to
thinking
exit
about
executive
that.
session at 6:50 PM. Roll call vote, Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt.
Aye.
Councilman Paddock.
Aye.
Supervisor Baden. Aye. Okay, so now we will tackle the budget.
For 1 month, that's it.
Let me,
It's
let me
never.
share screen here.
That would be.
Oh, but if we do whittle it down into 2018, and then like what percentage of that? Oh, it's just a 100th of a percent.
Right.
Okay.
It's 100th of a percent less
So-
than what they asked.
So currently, we are $51,178 over the tax cap.
Change the number.
I'm gonna put up, we're gonna change those other numbers, so let me go to the general fund.
You said you're also gonna find the FICA based on this one number?
It'll change automatically,
Okay,
because my FICA is set up as a formula
brilliant.
that when all this, every salary position times the percentage.
Nice.
So if I make a $1 change, it automatically,
That's awesome. Mike.
this formula is tweaked beyond tweaking. It's 3 years in the making.
Don't touch
You're
it.
much closer now.
Yeah, that's why I never sent
Yeah.
you guys the Excel sheet,
Yeah.
because you could screw it up on your own, so.
I wouldn't touch.
Because I have, and that's the only reason I know.
I'm gonna check your math one day.
I mean,
Please
he
do.
goes through
I'm
it
only
with a
kidding.
fine tooth comb, I know that.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
There is a certain satisfaction of a well-designed Excel file, you know?
Well, until I started doing budgets, I always knew about formulas, but I really learned them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to, the position that we put in for 24 hours a week at 16,224, we are going to eliminate. And what that did to us in the big picture,
16,204, you mean 224?
yes, 16,224. So now we are 33,713 over the tax cap.
No.
We just took out about 17.5. So a nice
Okay,
big chunk.
that's how you're coming to that figure with the percentage of.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so, so now we'll go back to general fund. Do you want to start with the revenue sides first and look at them and see if we can tweak any revenue side before we make cuts?
Sure.
Probably smart.
And I am gonna make some changes based on those sheets I gave you here, because
Oh, right.
I just figured these out today. Although the numbers will be guesses until I can get with Becky.
You're going to, if there's not a category, you're gonna add a category.
Correct. So, we'll start first, the interest and penalties on the real property taxes. We've always been in the, 18, we were at 32, 19, we were at 34. This year, we're at 27. So, we put in 30. It's a good round ballpark. It's kind of,
In the middle.
we were a little higher last year in our budget, but we're a little less in numbers this year.
Can we put 2,000 in there?
What's that?
Is it realistic to go 32,000?
I think we should keep it at 30, to be honest.
Okay.
I did print for everybody, Chris, and I don't know, did I give it to you 2 weeks ago, which was the 5-year spreadsheet of these? And I don't know if I have it handy.
I have it.
Um,
I don't know.
you could look, Aaron, and see if this is our first year that we're down.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
Because that's a number that by June is set. That number's never gonna change for the rest of the
Oh,
year.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's penalties on property taxes.
I thought more was
So-
coming.
Once you've gotten all the penalties by June, it gets turned over to the county and the county makes you whole. So then the county collects any penalties beyond that.
And that's when the auction's on.
So, well, for after 3 years.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm good with 30.
Yeah. I kind of don't, it's a guess on how many people are gonna be late with their taxes, which is, maybe it will be more, but
Because of COVID, maybe.
yeah.
Never know.
no.
Okay.
It's one of those numbers though, I'd rather be under than over.
Yep.
So non-property tax, that's our sales tax line. We were at 175 in 18. In 19, we were at 149. We're at 88 this year. We do have a pretty good sized check coming. By comparison, we were $6,000 less on our last check. We were about 10% less on our last check. So
It's a good cut.
I pulled it out of thin air at the 150.
I don't disagree with it, Mike. It's not a.
It's
bad
hard to say.
number.
It may be under because now the comptroller's been doing a lot of analysis of this and many items have been sky high. And now mail order is taxable.
Right.
And as of the end toward the last part of last year and this year. So the comparisons, it's apples to oranges now.
Mhm.
But just like you said, if we're down 10% over 3 quarters, that 150.
I'd rather go
end of the
150
year.
and then find out, oh, we're gonna be 170 and,
Okay,
we can
so-
give some back in,
Yeah,
then the other way around. The
But-
franchise fees is,
But if there's wiggle room there, adding to our revenue side is as important as cutting the expense.
agreed,
oh, yeah.
Maybe
agreed. I
5,000.
just don't know that there's wiggle room.
Right.
Great. Let's-
I'm not confident enough, it depends, nobody knows what the COVID's gonna bring next year.
Right, right.
That's right.
Okay, I'll just put a question mark. and we can move
Yeah,
on.
I mean, if we find we need another 10,000 somewhere, maybe we could
Okay.
do that. I'll be honest, I would almost rather take 10,000 more out of fund balance
Then risk. Yeah.
than guess on this, because ultimately we might be ending up doing that anyway.
Okay, I'm good with it.
So
Gotcha.
the 120 is our cable franchise, which comes in January of the next year, but it gets reverted back.
Okay.
It's usually in the neighborhood of about 120. Last year it was down a little bit. I think enough people have cut the cord, which is why I think it was down.
Yeah, Spectrum is terribly priced.
Do
in the
we
service.
want to stay at 120? Do we want to go to 115? That was
Well, I think you're gonna get a wash between the people, using alternative streaming services and the amount of people that are moving into the area, so.
yeah.
probably
I think
a wash.
so.
I think 120, if we're off by 5,000 there, 5,000 is not usually a big number to be off.
Great.
I think that's-
Let's leave it.
So we'll leave it. The tax collector fees, I usually just take whatever number Kate gives me. She gave me the 500. We've always been in that vicinity. I think it's a safe bet.
Great.
Court fees, we're down a little this year.
But we've been closed.
We've been closed, but we're still doing a lot of business through the door. I'm gonna stick with the 1,000 on that. The attorney fees was a mistake on my part last year. I was thinking we would be reimbursing Mary Lou for when she does planning board stuff. Instead, what we've been doing is creating escrow accounts where the people put the money in and then Mary Lou gets paid the money when she does the work, or the engineer gets paid the work. So in reality, that 12,000 was a big error on my part. I just wasn't thinking it clearly enough. I was thinking that we would be getting reimbursed. We aren't. So that's why I'm taking it back down to 350. Now, to know about our attorney, she's raising her rates $10 an hour next year to 175. She's doing that across the board with all her towns. She was 150 until 3 years ago, and had been at 150 for like 10 years.
Mhm.
She went to 150, 160 2 years ago. This year she went to 165. This year she's going to 175. She kind of wanted to go to 175 3 years ago, and I asked her if she would kind of do it gradually. So that's where the 350 is. I budgeted for 2 hours of her time, figuring there'll be something that she'll have to do for the town board on behalf of somebody that we can actually bill back for. If, you know, so the money's in the revenue line, but it's also in the expenditure line. So it's kind of a wash.
Do we have wiggle room to ask her to do 170 this year and 175 next year?
I don't think so. She pretty much informed me she was going 175 with all towns this year. I think she already had arrived at 175 with others and kind of gave us a little bit of leeway.
Okay.
And when we get to attorney, you'll see the fees are up this year, but there's been an awful lot of questions because of COVID and, you know, so. Now, code enforcement fees, the 1289, this is gonna be the municipal searches. It's under the category in the comptroller's guide. It's listed as department income, other governmental income. I sort of look at municipal searches as nothing that really involves the code enforcement department per se, other than it's that employee doing it.
Yeah, but that involves it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put it under an inspection or a
Gotcha.
permit fee because it's neither of those.
Right.
So that's why I listed it in other government income, because they don't have a separate income line for code enforcement or building, just in the general income. Like they have one for town clerk, they have one for tax collector, they have one for attorney.
Mhm.
They don't have one for code enforcement, but I'm gonna just label we'll relabel this, instead of saying code enforcement fees. I'm gonna label this, how about we just say municipal search?
Searches, yeah. Code enforcement municipal searches.
We'll say I'll use the abbreviation CEO. 6,000, that would be about 50. I'm thinking that's a little low. Becky's gonna give me a real number tomorrow, but I can tell you, she told me the other day, she had 20 of them waiting to go.
Yeah,
Which,
she had
are
said there was a lot.
you talking
So
about the
Chris, if you were
8,000?
looking at
Yeah, the
this sheet here,
Oh, I see. You're comparing the two.
yeah,
Because you put in 8.
I
Okay.
put in 8.
Okay.
Which would probably, you know, plus we're gonna offer the expedited, which would be double the price if you want a 3-day turnaround.
Question.
Yep.
You want to split these out?
I thought about that, Pete,
12.89.
and I may talk to Kate and split them within, because the revenue goes to Kate and then
I know.
Kate transfers it to us. What I think I'm gonna do in each of these categories is split it out
With an extra number.
in Kate's listing with an extra number. But
So
ultimately,
track-
in our system, I don't know that there's any reason for us to separate it. As long as Becky and Kate have it separated,
Okay,
then we know how many of each.
yeah, I was just
Yeah.
looking for next year to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought the
Where-
same thing, and
where-
if you look back at my original draft, I had a 0.1, 0.2, 0.3,
Mhm.
or actually I had a 0.001.
That's what, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, but I thought about it more and I was like, it may complicate it.
Okay,
So, because a search is a search, I mean, Becky's gonna know what to charge.
she'll track it. I know
And the reports she gives us, we can split them.
Okay.
But ultimately, the line item doesn't matter.
Right.
Both go.
But I think we should go considerably more than 8,000. I mean, do we think we're gonna get 100 of these a year? I don't know.
How many are we doing a week right now in high time?
And this is where she was gonna email me that list and
I'll get her on.
sent me the email, but forgot to attach the list.
I will steal your phone. She's
Um,
protected at home.
Can we try 10 for today?
I almost think we could go 15
Okay.
because 100 at 125 each. This is a considerably increased price.
Yes,
As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure. I think we charge like $30 right now.
Uh-huh, okay.
which barely pays for her time.
Yeah.
So I'm almost
Gotta
thinking we
remember
should go to
she was
like
the secretary for me for
15 or 20.
I say put in 10.
10.
As a placeholder, because, and then
We're
I'm
gonna,
just
we're
a
gonna
little-
come back to this next week.
Mhm.
So,
I'm a little concerned that this is
You're
a
being
extraordinary year.
Mhm.
Also, the
well,
price might
but
change.
I think doing 100 in a year is probably not unreasonable. So,
if it's just 2 a week.
yeah, can we go to
12?
12.5?
Okay.
Which is 100 without any expedited.
Okay.
Because I can tell you, even in non-COVID times, everybody wants it faster. And realtors don't care. They'll pay it because they're just building it back to the plant.
Mhm.
So
I
maybe
like
we,
12. I was gonna say 12.5.
Okay.
well, 12.5 is 100 with no, can we go to 15? If I find out next week my numbers are way off, we can
Yeah.
always go back.
Let's do 15.
Oh.
She doesn't want to, I go with her, she's kind of.
12.5, 12.5.
12.5, yeah.
We'll
because
switch
that's
it
a-
next week.
12.5,
We're
okay.
using-
Straighten it out, because my thing's getting messy.
I know, I'm messing.
Yeah.
12.5. Okay, the fire inspection fees, oh, the constable fees.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we had an extraordinary year this year, and that Rich has done a lot of teaching. We don't know where we're headed with that. I gotta be honest, I'm not entirely sure that, I have to figure out if there's teaching other departments, which is how we make the money. Our insurance agent expressed a little bit of concern about it initially,
Right,
but then
right.
hasn't said anything more since.
Right.
I lowered it considerably because I know the revenue is coming in from it. I'm not sure we want to be in the teaching business, and I'd almost rather give it up. We have to teach our guys. Absolutely, somebody has to teach our
Yeah,
guys.
somebody's got to teach us,
Right.
and while they're being taught, if
Right.
we're getting income from it at the same time.
Yeah, I
is
just
that a
don't know
bad
what
thing?
kind of liability we hold teaching another department.
I like what you did. You put something in.
Yeah, yeah. We put in 5 in the past. You can see 2 years ago, we were at 69. Last year, we were only at 1,100. This year, we're at 95, and Rich is wanting to do another one in November.
Will you go to 5? Do I hear 5?
I was being conservative because, but I don't know, you know.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I just thought.
I was kind of looking at the past 2 years and kind of averaged it in the middle of the two, which is about 8,000 over 2 years.
What do you think?
Yeah, I got you. I see what you did.
I mean, again, we're up in the air with this, so.
Yeah.
Again, being conservative, $5,000 seems to be what we budgeted the last few years. It's somewhere between 1,000 and 10,000, which is 5,000.
I mean,
I don't know.
in previous years, we actually budgeted much higher and didn't even hit the number.
Yeah.
In Rich's budget request, his recommendation was like 20,000.
He's shooting for the sky.
Yeah.
Well, that
Um,
may.
we've never
come
hit
out
his
when there were
recommendation.
VTL tickets.
Now,
too.
what all is under fees? Just training fees?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
because,
what that is.
because they don't, there's a misunderstanding out there that tickets they write show up in this.
Right.
No.
Tickets they write
Go to
go through the court.
Right.
Okay.
If they write a building, or if Jerry issues a building code, it shows up, the revenue shows up in the court because the court imposes the fine. We only have the ability to write a violation. The court adjudicates it and sets the fine.
So let me ask you this question. I mean, to me, this should be a known number, meaning that how much training do we want our constables to do and what kind of revenue do we want them to bring in? I think that's more a board decision than it is a constable decision. Do we
Agreed.
want them to bring in 10,000? Do we want them to bring in 20 grand? Or are we happy with the 5,000 they bring in?
Well, I would rather shoot low, and if we find out that we're not gonna do it, then A, we don't have as much money to try to make up. And B, if we do it, I would rather not make it a priority.
This falls back under that header that we were talking about of, what are the duties and responsibilities of a constabulary?
Right.
Is it just to train our guys and bring in some revenue for this? Do we want them bringing in none? Do we want them covered under liability and make it a big part of what we do?
I'm not gonna deny it. When it was initially talked about, this was presented as this will be a way to make money for the town. I don't know if I'm entirely comfortable
Yeah.
with making money through training.
I think it's better than making money through tickets.
Agreed.
Yeah,
It's better
because our
PR.
guys still, if they're
Yep.
consistent, they have to have training X amount of years
Right.
in different
Right.
venues. I
They
don't
have
know
to
what they would be.
They have to take continuing education classes every year.
So
And they
we're
do.
saving money and making money.
That's.
Pretty
what
good.
we-
But I like your point. Are we necessarily focused on education?
Yeah. Yep.
I like 5,000.
I mean, I'm not sure I want us to be a school. You want to change it to 5?
Yeah, because like, I think Adam makes a great point. We could say, make it 10 and then have them make that a focus.
Yeah.
Okay. The fire inspection fees, I put in 5,000. The 615 that we collected in the matter of about 2 or 3 weeks. Plus, the fire inspection fees were not as defined as to what went in that category in the past. A lot of it fell under safety inspections and things. Yeah, you see the safety inspection line down below.
Let me ask you a question. Where's the short-term transient rental inspection go?
Turn the page
Right.
to 1560.
All right, so, but that's not in that line. That was my question.
Yep.
Okay.
So I put in 5,000 for now. I want to see what Becky comes up with. Now that we have a fire inspector, he's doing a lot of these, and Becky really laid this out. I think my guess is it's going to be considerably more than 5,000. Once every 2 years, all commercial buildings and buildings containing 3 or more dwellings have to be, and any building that has a public assembly of greater than 50 has to be inspected every single year. Jerry would always be falling way behind on that because we just didn't have the manpower to do it. Now that Will is dedicated toward it, that's his main job.
Well, again, and let me ask you a question, play devil's advocate. Isn't this also a known quantity though? How many buildings in the, how many in the town have that definition? Don't we have an inventory of it?
Probably not.
No, we should.
We probably could figure it out, but I don't think it's broken down to that category. And this is where, when I see Becky's numbers, it will help me.
Because all I'm saying is unless we build another one or, some definition of use changes, we should know how many there are. We should know how many people need inspection. I get an email when my registration's overdue on my car,
Yeah.
But he has to look differently at multiple dwellings than he does single dwellings for fire inspections.
Right.
But they're also.
But that's on
zoned
there.
and-
That's
Yeah.
basically the apartments.
yeah,
Okay.
but we also know where those are.
It's 3 or more dwellings, so, if a building has 3 or more dwellings, so if it's a 3-family, a single family and a duplex fall under residential,
Yep.
and they don't ever get an inspection after
Right.
they get their C of O.
Yeah, but if somebody took a 4-bedroom house and broke it up into 3 one-bedroom apartments, that's now,
Now
Yeah.
it's a multiple.
Yeah,
dwelling.
but they have to go through the planning board for that whole process. I think we could probably up it to 10 and find out for sure when we get that list from Becky.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll ask if Jerry or Will can tell us how many of each category, and then we can just simply do the math and
Yeah.
come up with it.
You want to
I
double
like,
it?
I like the increase because Will is a new expense, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So he'll help bring in this revenue.
Oh, yeah, he essentially will almost pay for himself.
Okay,
And then also it might be the software that we've approved for the belt for them for next year.
Yep.
Might be able to do what you're talking
They
about.
probably
Put it
can.
right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
So
smart.
maybe for the next budget, we
Yeah,
just,
so I'm gonna up it to 10 for now.
Okay. Hey.
Dog control fees, the 600 seems to be, it's a little conservative. For some reason, in 18, we were incredibly high. I'm
wow.
not sure why.
crazy.
We could probably squeeze a little more out of it. I don't know that we really want to.
I'd keep
Skip
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 is good.
Now, the safety inspection fees, the 5,000 is a made-up number.
Okay.
What I'm gonna put in, and don't look at the past because I don't know what was put into what fund, because money would come from Becky over to Kate, it would get assigned a code. What I'm gonna do is give this new breakdown to Becky and Kate, and we're gonna create paperwork that follows this, so this will be next year's numbers.
So safety inspection is short-term rental?
It's gonna be the short-term rentals and the telecommunication. Now, right now, we don't have the short-term rental law done yet, because we're still figuring out the public hearing part of it.
Right.
But I would say this, if we know that we charge $100 over 100,
There's a known 100 plus short-term rentals happening in the town.
Assuming
know
everyone else
that.
comes in and.
Well, they won't have a choice. We're gonna send them letters because we have them known. We're gonna send them a letter and say, you must register.
So just
that's
in, just in
10,000.
short-term rentals inspections, that's 10,000
We do have to
100
consider
by 100.
things like my wife and I decided to remove our property from all short-term rental sites.
Mhm.
One, so I could speak about it and represent our community.
Uh-huh.
But two, people will start doing that as these laws pass. So we could have a drop off on
We
rentals
could.
too.
But we can also have an increase, and one thing we learned is, as landlords locally, is that we don't have any control during COVID, but under short-term rentals, we have ultimate control.
Well, at the 250 initial application, which would
Good
be the
point.
first year, even if we only had 50, if half, that's
12,500,
still
12,500.
12,500.
Mhm. And they will increase usage, I think.
Well, like I said, if anybody wants to come look at leads and stay over,
They're
you
gonna
know.
stay.
And then it's another 1,000 for the 3 cell towers and the 2 large solar. So it's 5 times the 200.
How is that different than something we covered already? Franchise fees.
Cable,
Franchise fees is the
Spectrum?
percentage we get back from Spectrum.
Thank you.
So how,
When you pay your bill, there's a franchise fee that is added on your bill.
Okay.
They collect those and send them to us.
how many 250s for a large site?
On the
I know there's 2 solar
safety,
farms, but you said there was 250s. There was a handful.
No, there's 3 cell towers and 2 large scale solars. So it's a total of 5.
2,500 plus 12,500, so I get 15,000 as a conservative estimate.
Mhm.
on 1560, the line, safety
Um,
inspection fees?
yeah.
Okay. That's nice and conservative and big.
Wait a minute though, 2,500 Adam? 2,500 is,
250 times 5. Right, no, it's 1250, I'm sorry. Is 1250 and 12,500 is 13,000.
500.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna put that number in.
Instead
And
of
that,
the
and that could
five.
go up significantly if we did get 100 properties.
Yeah.
If we did get 100
On a
initial.
safety
But
inspection.
we can estimate that 50, we're gonna have 50, which is from the list we got in 2018, and I think it's increased significantly since then. I did ask the county for a new list. I still haven't received it yet. I asked last week for it. But there were 99 on the list in 2018 when we got the.
so you're going
original
up
list.
8,500.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So
I'm
so
just
we're saying
asking.
if only we captured 50 of them,
Yeah.
which isn't the goal, obviously.
And just so you know, where we stand in the big picture now is we only have 14,700 to go. So,
I have 700 less than you. I must have missed something.
I think it's
14.
I think it's that
14,000.
FICA calculation he was saying.
I think so. I
Probably.
think that's where it is.
Yeah,
Because I'm
yeah.
at
I didn't-
Because you and I don't see that one gets.
Yeah,
spun
I'm
around.
it's an
going.
automatic. I didn't even look at it, but I'm sure it lowered.
Yeah. I'm going.
Vital statistics fees, this is Kate's number. She's always been around 2,000.
Did
We're
we
at
skip
16.
charges demo unsafe building? That's a one.
Oh, that's an automatic. We put that in every year, the 1570. We put 10,000 in on the revenue side. We put 10,000 in on the expenditure side. That's if we have to take a building down for the town.
Okay,
It's a
It's a
placeholder.
wash.
I'm sure it would be more than that, but
Who would pay us for it?
whoever we take the building
Ah,
down from.
okay, that's-
But we do have to add the 1580, which is a new thing that we never had before, so I'm gonna add that right now.
oh,
what's
is
that?
what's that?
15.
It's on this list.
Oh,
On Becky's list, 15.
This is
oh,
called
restitution surcharge.
restitution surcharge. It seems to be the best way for, the best category for me to put it under,
I see,
because it's not a permit.
right.
This is a penalty. This is a fine that Jerry has the ability to issue these fines. If he gives a stop work order, he can give them a bill for 250, or if he revocation of a stop work
Yeah,
order.
yeah.
There's
So-
no charge on the restitution surcharge. Is there
It's
supposed to be?
the,
Oh, that's
look
the
below
heading.
it.
Mm.
So
That's the main.
1580 construction started without a building.
Thank you.
That's a
Right.
new thing.
Cool, thanks.
The revocation of stop work order, accessory apartment finished completed without.
So Jerry and Becky are proposing that if you start building without a building permit, when you finally get caught and come get your building permit, we're gonna charge you a 50% fine up to 250. So if your building permit is over $500, you're still only gonna get fined the $250.
Okay.
They're never gonna go above that.
Right.
But, let me just add that category in here though.
And we end up with a lot of those, a lot more than you'd
Oh,
think.
I got one of those once. And I thought it was an accident. I wasn't meaning,
Oh,
I built a
you-
greenhouse.
A stop work, yeah. or
And no,
just-
and they just said you should have gotten a building permit for this, apply, and I thought it was weird that I didn't get a fine or anything, I just had to go
Fill out
out
the paperwork.
the paperwork. And we were confused because it was a greenhouse and,
See, well, they would think it was agriculture and maybe didn't need one.
yeah, I think that's what it was in the end.
Okay, so
How much?
I'm gonna call it CEO restitution surcharge.
Okay,
So we need to put a placeholder in it for now, but we can decide what it should be. You know, we can always come back to it later.
10 of them would be 2,500. You really think you're gonna get 10 in a year?
Probably, but I think 10 is a legitimate
That would
number
be
to
10
do.
of all of the, it would be 10 total of,
10
Yeah.
times
Yeah, I mean-
250.
Yeah.
That- Of the highest figure.
and also of,
The
there's
accessory
3
apartment,
things
I
that,
don't think you're gonna have to, get that many, but that's where people, they
But
build that little cottage
got-
and don't
yeah.
ever ask for a permit.
or if we got 5
basically the
stop
fine
work
is always
orders, there's
$250.
5. Yeah.
So should we say 2,500?
Yeah,
Sure.
I said
You
10
get 10 of
times,
them,
whatever, yeah.
One a month with
Right, and
December off.
that's the stop work order
Yeah.
and the building permit one.
Yeah.
Coming
Come on.
down.
There you go. Cool.
Okay, so now we are at
I got 12,500, you got 12,700.
12,2.
12,200?
Yep.
I'm not ahead of you.
I like the,
We had 2,500 and we were at 14,700.
You had 7, that's right. You had, I didn't have the
Yeah.
7.
So we're at 12,200.
All right, I'll put
We're
the
doing
7.
much better, Chris. We're down to
I'll put the 7
12,200.
in, so I'm
On
the same.
that new line?
No, we put in 10 of them, 2,500. It's basically a 250 fine for building without a
cool.
permit
Thank you.
or a stop work order, so.
Thank
So we just put it, we said 10 will happen through the course of the year.
Beautiful.
1589 is no longer gonna exist.
Okay,
I don't know what that was just a general line. Nothing's ever really been in there. Somehow something got put in there in 18, but. So now we go to the vital statistics fees. That's Kate's number, the 2,000. Park and recreation fees, I put in 3,000 again. I'd really like, Adam, especially if we get new playground equipment, to develop a policy for rental of the pavilion for groups, say, greater than 20 or 25,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah,
where we
talked
charge a
about it.
minimal fee. What we do now is we take a check from them and we tear it up. It's a deposit.
Yeah.
But we don't ever collect any money. But in return for that, we'll get rid of the garbage,
Yeah.
so. I put in 3,000 as a placeholder, just like I did last year. We never did anything about it last year and then the COVID hit, but next year I'd like to. So are you comfortable with putting a number in there?
You're
Yeah.
talking,
Because if you,
4 is a 100.
Yeah. The youth and recreation fees, we adjusted Ashley's number last week. She had forgotten about adult recreation fees,
Good.
but she had also put donations in. And once we redid the math, we came up with the 77,440 is the number, Chris.
Okay, thank
so my only concern with the rec department is if we're in this,
If we're in COVID, if the number's high, we'll still be okay because we won't have the expenses.
okay,
Because what this number does is, this is essentially the tuition we charge for either after school
right,
or the summer program or the basketball program.
What's
So-
nice about it is it's a variable expense. It's dollar for dollar. If we don't
Right.
take it in, we can't spend it.
right,
So
okay,
the expenditure line is in there. It's, if you look back at, we
Right.
budgeted 73 last year, and we've only taken in 8,600. But we've already spent the 8,600. We haven't spent 73 this year
you. Yeah. I saw
because
that.
we had very little staff. We just had January and February and part of March, and then we had to stop.
What's nice about everything that's on here, it's the one budget line that's dollar for dollar. If we take it in, we
Pretty
spend
much.
it. If we don't, we
Now,
don't.
that number doesn't pay Ashley, Rita, and Bethany's salaries. That number basically pays for the programs.
Right,
Gotcha.
And we, out of taxes, we pay their salaries to manage the programs.
Yeah.
But the assistants that work for the specific programs are paid for out of that money.
that clears a lot up.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Ashley and Rita give us an accounting. And last year, at the end of the day, it cost the town about $4,500 or $4,800 for the year.
Yeah.
And the difference was the transportation, the busing
Right,
that we didn't plan on, and we ended up not having our own bus. So it was maybe 7,000.
And I think we had a talk with Brian Drapkin about how the purpose isn't to make money on the program.
Right.
It's to support it because it's a great service.
right, and also that's, again, why the tax base is paying for the staff, because they're still here serving
Right. Well, they
our
do other
community
things. They do
with-
the senior
with-
program.
exactly.
Yeah.
without those
Yeah.
programs.
Right.
Yeah, and those programs don't break even. I mean,
Yeah.
the senior program, we have the line dancing, but that's the only place we collect revenue,
Yeah.
and that's $2 a person.
It's a community
day.
service.
Mhm.
Right, and the same with the adult recreation. But if we do a bus trip, it's a wash, because we budget 500 for 4 bus trips, and we budget 2,000 in revenue.
Yeah.
So they're a wash. Zoning fees, I'm gonna lower the number a little bit, because we used to always put zoning permits in this category, and it's always been very confusing, because, and if you read the description, this is only supposed to be like ZBA fees, not zoning
Okay.
permits. Zoning permits would fall under the permit fee, so that number has always been elevated, and Becky elevated it because she was expecting more, charging more for zoning permits. So I would like to take it back down to 6,000.
And you increase the permit size?
We're going to when we get there.
Okay, great.
We haven't gotten that far yet. Planning board fees, I went up a little bit from last year. Your call, if I went too high, we were at, you see our past history. We're at around 6642, and that number is as of the end of, that number's the end of August, because the September money doesn't come in till the first week in October.
Does this include the escrow?
No. Escrow is a separate account. This is just site plan, special use, subdivision fees, public hearing fees. Escrow is just, we take the money from the applicant, we hold it, and we pay out Mary Lou and the engineer from the escrow.
So you're missing a quarter of the year, so if you're at
Essentially.
66, 40.
We're at 66 now. If another quarter, we'd be at 99.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was headed.
Let's do it.
Okay,
Garbage and refuse, it's a guess. I went down a little bit thinking without the scale that we would be a little lower. We've always been in the neighborhood of 290. That number again is 3/4 of the year.
and this does not include the permits?
Actually, that number is 2/3 of the year, I'm sorry. Yes, that includes all fees. So that includes the
Okay.
permit fees. That includes any charges we get from the transfer station, any fees that we charge for refrigerators, tires. Basically, every dollar that comes in involving the transfer station is in that number.
That number's through the end of September?
That number that you're seeing there is through the end of September, which is 2/3 of the year now.
That means.
Admittedly, it was probably gonna be higher, but remember when the scale went away, I can tell you, until this past week, our numbers dropped down from normally 1,500-1,800 a day, 2,000 a day, down to 700-800, although the one from last Tuesday that I just got, or yesterday that I just got today, was about back up to 2,000.
I was gonna say, we were on pace for 310,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I don't think we might have hit that, and remember too, though, it's permits are usually, they're spread out throughout the year because we don't do a calendar year permit, we
Yeah.
do a 12-month permit, but more people buy them in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Just from previous,
Okay.
when they expired in the past.
Okay, how does this offset though with the poll charges and stuff, expense wise?
The poll charges are in the revenue side, and it's pretty much a wash when you add in all the expenses of the poll charges, the tire reclamation,
That's
the
what I
freon
mean.
reclamation.
Mhm.
Okay.
In some cases, we maybe make a little bit, but that's not including the electricity to run the buildings, the gas for the vehicles, you know.
Okay.
If we really broke it down by the actual cost of every penny of operating the transfer station, we're losing money, but not a lot.
Mhm.
Do you want to sit on 280 for now and then maybe change it before?
Yeah, we want to see where we go. I kind of, that really
We've
was,
only got-
I went a little less than last year,
We
just
got a
thinking we
week.
may lose a little bit of it.
We got a week.
Before the
but we have-
finalizing?
We have to, yeah.
Yeah,
But the
we-
biggest thing
so-
is erring to the side of caution, because we simply don't know.
Right.
Right.
We've had a major change, and we don't know what that's gonna do to
Right.
affect performance, so
Right.
err to the side of caution.
I will know better at the end of October, but we won't be able to
Right.
wait to see that, because I want to see what our October bill
No,
comes out to be.
Well, if you see a couple more $2,000 days, we might be
Yeah.
more informed.
I'll let you know what the
Still be-
weekend
I
looks
like
like.
the
Okay.
10
Thank you.
lower than,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dog control services from other governments. I was ambitious last year. We never had this budget line till last year. This is if Jill is the dog control officer for 4 or 5 towns. Sometimes we end up temporarily housing a dog from another town, and Jill tries to get money out of them. She doesn't always succeed. So we've done $20 this year in it. I put in 500. It's a guess. We could put in, you could take it down to 100 and go from there.
Yeah,
Yeah, just as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Like I said, it doesn't seem that.
I mean, we probably will make something. And I'm not sure it was ever broken out before either.
Mhm.
I think in past, it just fell into all the other dog control fees. The other government services, this is the 1,300 that we get for the summer program that pays part of, 1,300 is the max you can get. It pays a percentage of Ashley's salary if we have a summer program. So I put it in again. I don't know why we had 1,778 last year. I don't know what the other 478 were for. I could go back and look, but the 1,300 is a given. Interest, it's always a crapshoot. I put in 600. I think it's conservative.
Okay.
The 260 is the rental of real property. Now, what that is the 2 solar leases and the 2 cell tower leases. The solar leases are a known quantity. They're about, next year, they will be about 107. This year, they were it was 56 something and 56 something, so about 113, 114. And it's gonna be a 1% increase from that, so we'll basically say 115. And then the 2 cell towers are about 20,000 a month. No, not quite that much.
I thought each solar was 100,000.
No,
No, it's
56
together.
something is what we started with. It's so much per kilowatt hour, and they ended up, or not per kilowatt hour, per potential. And they started out, they estimated 56. They were both at 55 something the first year. So the first year we got about 111, 112.
All right.
And when's the due date on that payment?
We just got
Okay.
the check from 209 yesterday.
Got it. That makes sense.
It goes a year from when they started operating, so when they started operating. So the 209 site we just got, because that started operating in October of last year. The other one was either December or January. I think it came in just at the beginning of January, but we reverted it back a year because it was really the 2019 fee.
And I forget if I interrupted you on the 2 cell towers. What is that?
The 2 cell towers, we take in approximately, I was gonna say 15,000 a month between the 2, but it's probably more like around 12,000. It's probably about 140 to 150 a year.
That would
Cool.
be 144.
And so, I mean, last year I was a little more conservative,
Mhm.
So that's
but the cell towers,
259.
Yeah, I got 259
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Looking good.
so
hopefully it'll be a.
is
sunny
260 too high or should I go 250?
No, you're
Okay.
spot on with
Yeah.
the figures you quoted, you're at 259.
Okay, perfect. The cell towers are always a little up and down. We get a percentage of what they charge in rent every month to the carriers. And it fluctuates, but not by much. Now, the 2501 business and occupational license. Oh, we're not doing that one, never mind.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the 2501 category is. I think that was a mistake.
We had 1,500 in there last year.
Yeah, but let me see what 2501 is. It's not even a number I recognize, and I used to know all these pretty. Oh, business and occupation license, exactly what it says.
But we don't have that here.
No, we don't really. We have, the only thing we have is the, trying to see where it is on here. The solar permits, where did I put those? Did I not put them on here?
Would that have been the 1,500? That would have been 750.
Oh, no, the yearly inspection, that's where I put it in 1560.
Okay.
I put it, because it's an inspection, it's not really a permit. It's a yearly inspection that they have to get. So, I think last year I was putting the solar in there, but I moved it into the other category. The dog licenses, that's the number Kate gave me, so we'll stick with it. It's what it's been past years. Speedway permit, I would like to make a recommendation that we charge them no fee this year. I mean, we'll vote on it when their permit application comes to us. Although the application probably will come in December, so it'll be this year. So the only reason I'm suggesting that is they didn't get to operate this year because of the COVID.
Right.
But then again, this permit fee will be collected in 2021, which would be for the 2022 season. Because Gary usually comes in December for the next year. If he came in January or February, then this number would be for next year. He kind of spoke to me and said, do you think you can help me out? And I said, let me bring it to the board, but I think we could offer to waive the fee for this year since he paid it last year and never got to operate. But
I'm fine with that.
you want to leave the 250 in here or change it to 0?
What's the permit cover?
They have to get under the town law, they have to get a permit. We review their schedule and their operations and make sure they comply with the local law. So they have to come for an annual review of the permit.
Right.
And it's more or less a check. We just look at what they submit to us, we verify it matches what the law states, and then we give them their permit.
I guess the
It
play.
pays for our time.
I guess to play devil's
Right, that's-
advocate, is there anybody else in the town who paid a fee for a permit that they didn't use due to COVID?
To be consistent.
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, this is a
Again.
specific fee for the speedway.
Right.
The only other fee that somebody might have paid would be a building permit.
Yeah.
Or,
The other idea would be, well, since,
this is an
Since
operation. They have to
we-
pay this fee every year to
and-
be allowed to
well,
operate.
and I think the on the flip side too is the permit fee covers the review process.
Yeah.
Which we had to do.
True.
So, that's just another thing to
Yeah.
consider. We could maybe do it a discount if we weren't,
Yeah.
or just waive it, but,
Well, we can discuss that when we actually get the permit.
yeah.
Let's leave the 250 in and not get sidetracked on, and I
All right.
probably should even brought it up now, but
Okay.
we'll leave the 250 for now. If we don't get it, we can, it's 250, we can figure that out.
Did you want to say something, Dee?
No, I was gonna say, I would, since they couldn't raise this year, if we waived it, it depends on when they pay it though again.
That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say. too.
Yeah.
I would
Let's-
say
well, let's
leave
find out when they
2020, but
apply.
leave the 250 in here.
Let's leave this 250 for next year.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even in last year's budget. It only got added in because it was revenue. I think it used to just show up in the town clerk's fees, and somewhere it got, last year it got put in as a separate fee.
Okay.
Building permits
Public safety.
is gonna be the public,
Oh,
public
there is no
safety
public
permits.
safety.
2550. No, we do need to put a number in that because with my new classification, that's gonna be electrical upgrades, abandonment of an oil tank, a demolition permit, or fireworks. They're all $75. That's part of why I did it that way.
75 tons.
But these are all public safety features that we know there's a few fireworks every year. Pine Ridge does them twice a year.
Elders,
Elders.
the Speedway.
Kelders, yeah, so.
Yeah.
I think 10 is reasonable. I think we could even say maybe you put 1,000 in that line.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably gonna be more than that, but
Mm-hmm.
1,000 is a
Yeah.
good placeholder.
Okay,
So that's, oh, instead of the nothing.
instead of the nothing.
Okay. How come it was 13.5 that we brought in? already?
It's because we're totally revamping what categories we put things in.
Okay.
The old system didn't make any sense.
Mhm.
It was a bit of a mess. And I started to try to fix it with Kate and Becky last year, but we got partial, but we never quite got it. By doing this is kind of like drawing a line in the sand. We now have a new fee schedule. We now have very defined what category it goes in. Once we agree that to adopt this, Kate and Becky can operate off of this, and then our numbers will be right from now on.
Cool, great.
Yeah. It was always it was discretional as to which category it was put in before.
Mhm.
So are these are permits that we haven't required in the past?
No, we required these in the past.
Oh, okay.
They were probably,
In a different.
they were
instead of
lumped in, there
safety-
was a category called miscellaneous permits.
Okay,
That all this stuff was lumped into,
Yeah.
but to me, these are definitely public safety permits. What I did is I took all the permits, I took the list that Becky gave me of the new price schedule, and I went to the book and I said, what categories fit the
I
code
see.
enforcement?
and then you haven't gotten it yet, but she's gonna be sending you.
She's gonna send
The
me,
records.
she didn't
The
see
viability
this
of the money.
sheet,
Right,
but she was gonna go by each category and tell me, and when I
Okay,
see
great.
that tomorrow,
we'll have a better,
I can make some adjustments to these between now and
Okay.
next week.
got it.
Great.
So they're kind of placeholders, but
So that's why the next 3 lines have shifted also.
yes,
Okay.
well, the driveway permits is a brand new thing. I talked with Jeff. Currently, I know I'm skipping building permits for the moment, but driveway permits, we don't charge for currently.
Yeah,
Jeff agrees and I agree, $50 is a reasonable charge.
Sure.
I made up a number saying 40 in a year. I don't know if that's
Unless you
accurate or
live
not.
on a county road.
Yeah, if you live on a county or a state road, you don't come to us, you come to the county or the
Yeah,
state.
And what do they charge?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm pre-existing most every. I am.
2,000 looks good. And how about the building permit?
So the building and the miscellaneous permits, do we want to just maybe leave it where it is till I talk to Becky? Because if you look at that list, the building permits is going to be everything that is exactly that. If you're building new construction or you're renovating. So that would be the building permits. The permits other would be all the zoning permits, which will be a new thing. Logging permits, fences. Now, potentially that 50,000 is probably a little high, but I also think the 90,000 is a little low.
There's always been logging permits. I don't think they were separated.
They were always in the miscellaneous category.
Yeah.
because our building permits fees went up like by over 100%.
No, I don't know exactly.
Okay,
Large scale solar is lumped in there too. It's pretty big.
Construction of it, yeah, but
we
the
don't really
reality
have-
is,
that's,
we're probably not gonna see, I
Right.
mean, there is a new application in front of the planning board for large scale solar, but I don't know where it's gonna go.
Okay.
Maybe well, for now, so this is, this other permits is kind of the permits for fences, signs, swimming pools,
Mhm.
for items, not really building as much.
I'm just is it normal for the numbers, I guess that's right, it's just the actual.
Don't compare it to the past, because again, it's the same thing of
I
it's a whole
see.
new world.
Mhm.
It's pulled out, it might be pulled from a different
Yeah.
category
Okay,
where there was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but you're comfortable with those numbers?
hopefully in
Royce,
4
you said?
years, this is gonna be a lot easier,
Mhm.
It will
because
be.
it's,
Yeah,
that's how I operate with.
we're in a transition
Yeah.
period over the last 3 or 4 years,
Mm.
and each year, each year we're trying to make it a little, B can tell you, Chris can tell you, when we started,
It was a mess.
it was never broken out like
Yeah.
this.
And
Yeah.
The
there were
entire
so many-
budget was 7 pages when we started.
And there were
He
so
said-
many miscellaneous items that made
Everything,
no
you
sense.
couldn't classify it.
Yeah.
Had no way to track it.
Okay, okay,
So we revamped beyond revamping.
Yeah.
That's why we have a 65-page budget now.
I think you're right, Mike. We can wait to hear back.
Yeah. The fines and forfeited bail, that's a guess.
Yeah, have they given us a report?
Hmm.
No.
We did well last year. The reason we did well last year, my personal feeling is, in 2019 was when the 209 bridge was being built, and the
Yeah.
state police sat there like a hawk and wrote an awful lot of speeding tickets. And that's my theory of why it jumped up so much. The 18 is a bad number in that we had paid out a bunch of money that we hadn't credited yet. And some of it got rolled into 19. So we had paid out more than some of 19 should have been in 18. It should have been rolled back, probably about 15 or 20,000 of it.
So if you took the 2 and averaged them out, you get.
Not quite that much, but if you took about 20,000 out, it probably should have been about 50 and about 89.
This would be the number that the state comptroller, a compilation of the state, what the state comptroller gives us back during that report, right? Part of it goes to the state,
Actually, it's not it's the other way around. We collect the money
right?
and then we pay the state.
That's,
They don't give it back to us.
yeah.
We
So-
collect
get
the
a
money and they
portion.
send us a bill.
70.
If there's $100,000, we send a
So
check
that's
for
75
60.
there.
And we keep
in
40.
line.
And keep 40.
Yes. But it's not that they send it back to us, it goes the other way.
It
We
goes,
collect the money and then they send us a bill and we send them their
They tell us
percentage.
what we can
They
have.
tell us how much, what we can have.
They tell us.
I think 75 is probably reasonable if the COVID doesn't come back. I don't know
You've got most of in from one judge. There's one judge who is not reported. The other judge is within a month.
Yeah, but that 35,000
You're
is,
gonna double.
we haven't gotten a bill from the state the last bill we got from the state was May.
Wow.
Because they're just way behind on it. But then again, June and July, we took in very little.
Yeah.
In August, we just started taking money back in now, so.
I'm okay with 75.
I think we leave it.
Yeah,
The dogs, I'm gonna go from 1,000 down to 500. The scrap metal in excess, that's basically the metal bin at the transfer station. We're down in numbers this year a little bit, but I think the 7,000 it's a little bit less than what we've done in past, but I think it's probably reasonable.
Why is it so far down this year?
'Cause
That
I'm not
that
sure.
looks like it's gonna come in
People
like
weren't moving
35,
stuff.
3,600.
People
Part
weren't
of it too
moving
is
stuff
the
about,
guy who takes it from
I
us
think.
is not always the quickest at paying us back.
Oh.
We have to remind him.
Okay, that could be it.
But is it not possible that people weren't moving about and
It
taking stuff?
probably is.
because
I
of
kind of pulled the
COVID?
7,000 out of the previous years. I kind of look at this year as an anomaly and not a good comparison year because there's so many variables. The minor sales it's there just in case.
Does that include auctions like?
No, the auctions would be sale of real property.
Okay.
I don't anticipate we're gonna have anything really. We don't really have any vehicles that belong to the general fund side.
Yeah.
We may have some from Jeff's side. I don't think we're having anything that we're gonna sell, so. Sale of real, that's sale of equipment, I'm sorry. I did put in 500 for that. Sale of real property is us selling a piece of property.
Gotcha.
It's a rarity. We sold that one little piece to Albert de Jager. That was the 500 last year.
Gotcha.
And insurance recovery, hopefully we don't have any insurance recovery. The refunds, that's just the tax, people tell us what we have to send back to people from errors and omissions. Donations, in a good year, we get a lot from the youth. This year, obviously, we're a little lower, but we've still done 2,100, and we got some more coming in. And that, so you know too, Ashley and the youth are gonna do a drive-through Thanksgiving like we did St. Patrick's Day. So we probably will collect some more donations there. Employee health contributions, I have it now down to almost to the penny. I rounded off to the nearest whole dollar, but
That was the one that was 60,000?
yeah, the 60,000 was Mike dreaming.
Okay, what do you got?
And we're,
Okay, yeah.
49,610.
49.
I'm sorry, you're not looking at what I'm looking at.
No.
10, no.
Apologies.
The math-
Had you already put that in there?
I did, yeah, because I
Oh,
calculated.
great.
Rats, now my number's really off.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I had already put that in there.
So
'cause
that's
I-
not gonna come out of what
That's-
we've been doing?
No.
Great.
Okay.
The AIM-related
We got it.
payments,
I'll leave it be.
that's our state funding. If we get it, that's what we get. If we don't get it, we don't get it. But I'm still gonna hope that the state gives us the money.
What's the chances of getting it?
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna take it away totally. The unclassified revenues, that's just sort of generalized stuff. That's also, fuel oil for the rescue squad. And you know what? Actually, that is a mistake. I don't think 4,000. I think I should probably take that down a little bit.
Mhm.
Although I don't know why we have 2543 this year. Sure, we started doing something a little bit different with this category, and I'm not quite sure why we got so high this year.
Were they on more calls? Not to be facetious.
No, and I'm not sure what, I gotta go look at what makes up that number.
And can you tell us what 2770 is? Like, what does unclassified mean?
Unclassified revenues is any revenue that's not listed somewhere else.
That's
This is the miscellaneous revenue. What I started doing for highway side is all the money we get reimbursed for fuel from the rescue squad, the fire department, they come fuel up at our fuel tanks and they have a key. And then monthly or quarterly or something, Tina bills them for the fuel that they use, because that way they get it without paying the taxes, and because we get it without paying the taxes.
Yes.
They're tax exempt.
So in the past, that was always put into the expenditure line to reverse it back. And it confused the heck out of me. So I created, it's not really revenue, it is a payback for,
It's a reimbursement.
it's a reimbursement. But I still put it in the revenue line. I've got to talk to Dwight, not Dwight, what's our accountants?
Sickler Torch,
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of his first name, Joe,
Mhm.
Joe.
and see
Yeah,
if
I
that's
would've-
proper. Maybe it
I
should
would've
go in
said
the
Lynn.
expenditure side
Someone
because
else.
it's a reimbursement.
Okay.
But if I move it, what would happen is the expenditure side would lessen by 4,000.
Got it.
So,
That's exactly the
Well, they
way they
match.
list it here too. They don't give you anything
Yeah.
unclassified revenue.
yep.
You can specify, it says.
So you don't know why it's,
I don't know off the top of my head why it's so
Okay.
high this year, and I would have to go back and look at that budget line and see
okay,
where the revenues have come from.
okay,
That's where
because
you throw all the
according to
odd
my,
pennies.
like, if we did the same exact, for the remainder of the year that we have so far, it would only be 3,400.
Well, I'll tell you what then, let's take it down to 3,000,
Okay.
and then I'll still try to figure out what it is.
Okay,
So the last one to really look at is mortgage tax.
Mhm.
It's a guess. I mean, we've been good the last couple of years. We're not bad, and I can find out probably before next week what we anticipate our next mortgage payment is gonna be. Remember, even though there's a lot of sales going on, it's a lot of cash sales,
right,
and we don't see a penny of that.
yeah,
So it's a guess.
It looks like a good guess.
Yeah.
And that's given how many times a year?
Twice, I believe.
2 times a year? Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be close. All right.
Yeah. But it's not a calendar year thing. It's like a little bit from last year and then it overlaps.
Yeah.
But we also, it's earmarked by the month, I think, so we can pull it back out and transfer it back.
Because you're marking a 20% increase basically over last year.
Yeah,
And what are they saying? We have a 38% increase in property sales.
yeah, but
Yeah.
But
bear in mind, an
half
awful
of
lot of them are
you're-
cash.
Yeah.
If half of the new ones are cash, you're
Yeah.
still spot on.
Yeah.
If it keeps going.
Interfund transfer, I'm planning on trying to take 10,000 out of our capital fund project. Once I can find out how I can legally do it. The problem is money was earmarked in there without really being earmarked for anything. And I'm working with the comptroller's office. What we might have to do to be able to change the purpose of earmarked money, we might have to do a permissive referendum, which means we do a resolution, but we can't take action until the public has the right to petition us not to do it. My plan is for that 10,000, I've earmarked 40,000 for infrastructure, buildings and grounds improvements for next year. My plan is 10 of the 10,000 comes from this, and 30,000 comes from the fund balance.
Okay, here's my question to you. You have to do some kind of a referendum and it's pushed to that and the expense you would spend, wouldn't you be better off taking the whole?
Maybe.
21?
It's like 17 or 18 in there, or maybe it's 21, I don't remember.
Well, no, I meant this would be 10, so
Yeah.
it'd be 11.
Yeah, I didn't want to empty the entire account. You know,
My
I
thought
also
was
have
if
to
you're
do a
gonna
lot of
do it-
forensic digging. It was never really done properly. It was,
So
money
it's-
was just, every once in a while, a little bit of money was thrown into this capital project fund with a little handwritten note, this is for buses, or
And
this
the
is for
capital
trucks.
project had no title, so.
And if they weren't ever done by a specific resolution, they probably aren't binding anyway. But I'm really trying to work through it with Mary Lou and the comptroller's office to figure out what we can and can't do with that money.
I think a capital budget is important, but maybe we can have a meeting about what we want to focus capital.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, once we get the building condition survey report back, we're gonna have some priorities for next year, which is why I put 40,000 in as a placeholder, anticipating that it's not really hard to spend 40,000, 3 or 4 projects of 10,000 each.
Yeah.
One we know we want to do is pave the courthouse parking lot and fix the drainage issue there.
I'm
Because
just
right
wondering,
now, with the road being 3 inches higher, the water just runs right off.
when we get done with the projects at the court, we're good to go, right? We could apply for the next year, yes, no, maybe.
Yeah,
so?
but they
Are we
probably,
beyond the
we've
deadline?
tried to apply for the parking twice and they've denied it every time.
3 times.
Yeah. They don't consider that to be a capital improvement. They consider that to be maintenance, and they won't fund maintenance. They'll only fund new. Paul and I just talked today, and he's, as soon as we're done and submit 90% of reimbursement receipts back to them, we can reapply for next year's
Good.
grant. So.
I hadn't heard the tail of that yet.
Okay,
Tail
so, and now the key is I'm pulling 150 out of the appropriated fund balance. What my thoughts were is 50,000 of that is the playground equipment.
Mhm.
40,000 or 30,000, excuse me, is the capital project of the buildings, which takes us up to 80. And ultimately, the 20,000 for the pool, I know I told you I borrowed 10,000, but I went back and figured where I borrowed it from. I can put that back into that budget line and take the 10 from somewhere else. I did it because it was a quick fix.
This is me smiling.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can put it back. So the 20,000 that we budgeted for the pool this year that we didn't use, we've collected tax money for that. So essentially, I'm rolling that over into the fund balance too. So that total is 100,000. Then I'm gonna pull another 50 out of the fund balance, just in general. I think at the end of the year, we probably are not gonna be using the 75 that we budgeted this year. I think we will be about breaking even this year.
That's nice.
If anything, we might even have a few, a little more revenue than expenditures.
Mhm.
We're right on the edge. I'm monitoring it really carefully, but we got some big ticket revenues coming in, like the solar, we just got, we will be getting another, but we also have
Part
to
of-
pay.
Is part of this money, Mike, for the IT also, or is this in a different space?
I didn't plan on any of this for the IT. The IT was, we kind of spent what we budgeted this year. So I budgeted more money for the IT next year, which would come out of new funding.
Okay,
I wasn't taking anything out of fund balance for that.
okay.
I did want to discuss increasing one expense in the economic development section.
Okay, yep, so,
It used to be 10,000 a year for no reason. The economic development just had 10,000 put in it and it wasn't being used. So we talked about making it 5,000, but Mike decreased it to 4,000 this year. But the Greenway grant I applied for 5,000 is a matching grant. So we need at least 5,000 in there.
Oh, okay.
oh, we can easily put the 5 back in there then.
Or the one.
Yeah,
Additional
one more,
One.
make it 5.
Great.
So now, obviously, it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep going? Or is everybody kind of in the mood? And let's just go through general. Otherwise, we're going to leave an awful lot for next week. We got to go through all the revenues, the expenditure side. Now, we don't have to go through as much detail because we really, right now, I mean, to get to the tax cap,
My only issue
We're
is I
18.
made plans
He's at
for
18 now.
stopping at 8.
okay,
How much are you at, Mike? You're at 18?
we're at 18 over, 18.6.
Okay,
Much better.
okay, safe.
And we're gonna add that one, so that's 19.6. So we gotta find $20,000. I think,
All right,
I'm
so we
confident we
started
can
at.
find it.
Yeah, that's where we started, I know.
Well, we were way up to 70,000
I know.
over for a
I
while
know.
though.
But again, I feel super comfortable with that because I really do feel like we've underestimated or
I'll
been
tell you
very
what,
conservative with our.
Instead of us going
The
through
revenue
each and
side,
every
yeah.
revenue line, I will email you all this tomorrow.
Expense line?
The expense line, excuse me, I said revenue. I will email you a new copy of the budget as it stands at this moment. I'm gonna add that other 1,000 back in.
Great.
Why don't each of you look at it and just flag ones you wanna talk about, rather than me explaining every single line.
Chris,
Yeah.
what line are you on? Sorry.
On the economic development?
Yes,
Let me
please.
see.
Number.
We'll do it right now. It's under general fund,
Plus the number.
economic development.
Yeah.
It's
It is-
6789
Yeah,
B.
Thank
and
you.
it's page 9 of 44.
Got it.
So I'm gonna change that to 5,000. Oops, not 500, Mike, 5,000.
6, 7, 8, 9.
And that should put us
Economic.
exactly what I said, 19.6 over the tax cap. Now, that's not to say we can't go under the tax cap, but I'll be very honest. Our taxes, even if we didn't cut the 19,000, our taxes are,
Ooh.
for general fund, are lower than they were in 2004.
Nice.
Last year, the general fund taxes, this year, the 2020, the general fund taxes, I went back as far as 2001 or 2, and this year's taxes were lower than every year from 2002 on. I stopped going back at that point because it was hard to find results beyond that. So the general fund taxes, we still are the lowest taxing authority in the county. Now, admittedly, we don't have a lot of the same services that New Paltz has, or even in Rosendale, they have a police department. We don't have, constables pale in comparison to what a police department would cost us. So,
Liability insurance alone, I think. must
well,
be-
and well, just the cost, because
Salaries, yes.
Sylvia, the former supervisor from Olive, they went from constables to police officers, and she retired, but she said to me, don't ever make that change. They regret doing it, and they have a small part-time police force, but it's the union contracts that come with it.
But they cover a large area.
They do.
In a large
They do.
back road.
They do,
They used to have one constable.
yeah.
Mike, before I forget, I just wanted to mention in economic development and actual expenditures, it doesn't show the check we wrote to Andrew already. So it's missed.
It's not under, his isn't under economic development, I put it under parks.
Okay. Very
Because that's for the park.
Got it.
I didn't treat it as economic development, I treated it as a park expenditure.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. So is everybody comfortable with that then, that we'll call it a night tonight, and I'll email that everybody, and just between now and look for it tomorrow at some point during the day. You want me to send it to you in Excel, that if you change the numbers, just beware,
No.
it's a powerful thing.
If
I'll send it to you in both
I
formats.
mean, yeah, we won't mess up your copy.
No, you
We
won't
would
mess up
just
my copy,
our
but you
own.
might mess yourself up.
Yeah.
Whatever you send me is gonna
Can,
go right to a pencil.
Okay.
So it
So
doesn't.
B, maybe you and I are thinking the same way.
What?
Can we get a printed copy?
Sure,
'Cause I don't have a printer at the house. I can do it from work or something like that, but if there's one at the.
I can get you a print copy. All
Yeah,
I'll
That
do
way
is
I'll
ask-
just, I'll just
Yes.
highlight it and scratch
Well,
it.
just because it's a lot of paper, you want a printed copy, you want a printed
Please.
copy. Do either of you two want a printed copy?
Yes.
I'm fine with digital.
Okay,
It's easier for me to
Okay.
print
I
it
mean,
myself.
I gotta
Yep.
see it,
I like.
so I'll
I
make
like
3
mine.
printed copies for you guys.
please.
Do you want to, I'll send it to you, and do you want to see it in Excel just to play with it?
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
the thing about the Excel is, if you make the changes, it will make the other changes for you.
Yeah.
And then you can see in real time
Right.
exactly to the penny where it stands.
You can send it to me, Mike. I would
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
to see
Yeah,
it that
sure.
way, but I
Yeah.
like a hard copy.
Just,
Do you know how many total line items we have?
what I'll warn you about is if you change a formula to a hard number by mistake, it will throw
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
off.
A
So-
lot,
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple hundred.
a couple
Oh,
hundred.
it's
2,000?
more than that. It's
Yeah.
about 2,000. It's a
About
lot.
2,000. So right now, if every line item just was $9 less, we'd be.
Yeah.
I thought about that. He said, what if
That's
we
at
just took
1%
1%
Well,
off
we
of
can't
everything?
do that on some line items.
Right, like,
Salaries, we can't do that on, because the salaries are what they are.
especially the union ones.
Union you
Yeah.
can't touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason probably you
There you
can't do
go.
it, right? There's
Yeah.
always that exception.
Now, I will tell you, there's one big cut we can make. I put in $25,000 for last year I put in 35. I cut it to 25 this year for a new pickup or SUV or something to replace the car that we got rid of. It's not a necessity, but it is a useful thing.
Yeah.
If you want, I'll just go in right now and cut that out of the
I'm,
budget.
I'm into that because I think even if we find it somewhere else, it is nice
To have-
to have the wiggle room.
Yeah,
Well, the
Sorry.
big thing is not for nothing, but I've been checking into the mileage that, our town employees are using in their personal vehicles. That doesn't add up to 25 grand.
No, but most of our employees, myself included, don't ever reimburse. We only have like 3 employees who ever even put anything in.
Yeah.
Every year I put a couple $100s in,
Mhm.
but Jerry occasionally, if he can't use his town vehicle, if it's being worked on.
Yeah.
He uses his personal vehicle, so we reimburse him.
Mhm.
And other than that, unless it's a trip to like Syracuse or
Yeah.
something, most of the employees,
I prefer to drive my own vehicle.
Yeah,
I've done that.
and most of
ever.
them just eat the mileage.
Okay.
I
Maybe
agree.
they'll give us toll reimbursements.
Yeah,
but-
I may ask for the tolls.
I agree
That
with
would be
Erin
it.
to remove it tonight, because one, we've never said no to the highway department in all the years I've been here.
Well,
Well,
it's
this
not
isn't-
the
this
highway
isn't the highway.
department.
Oh,
We're
it's
still
not
not saying,
SUV.
we're still not saying no to the highway.
The one on the
Oh.
highway is paid for by CHIPS money, so taking it out doesn't do us any
He-
good
Yeah,
because
This
then we
is
gotta put the money
for, this
somewhere
is for
else.
like,
Jeff
if-
said that if he doesn't get the CHIPS money for that vehicle, he's not buying it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's a wash
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is SUV for
for the
the town.
For
town.
the town, to replace the town car that we had, the 2002 car that we sold.
supposing we wanted to go to a conference or a day seminar. and
Yeah,
we
can all
could
go
all hop in
together.
that car.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
nobody. can say-
2022, this has been.
And I'll be honest, I mean, the first year in office, I calculated how many miles I drive with my car, not to go back and forth to work, but to go to meetings in Kingston, to go to
Oh,
New
yeah.
Paltz, to go to
No, I-
Poughkeepsie.
I think we should be reimbursed, our folks for that, but maybe our internal system doesn't make it easy. I know.
No, we're set up to, just most people don't, I've told them all, give us, and they just go, it's okay.
Yeah, because all you
I'll-
gotta
I'll
do
give
is
a
go to
prime example.
MapQuest.
Mhm.
Many
MapQuest
people
will-
combine it with another trip, and not to single out your sister, but if she needs to copy a map and has to go to Staples to do it, she pairs it with a grocery store trip to Kingston.
Hmm.
She drops
That's
the map
perfect.
off, she goes grocery shopping, she stops and picks up the maps, She
Yeah,
said,
that's why
I'm not
we
gonna
don't-
charge you for
that's
that because
why
I was
we
going to
don't-
Kingston
yeah, why
anyway.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's what most of our employees do.
And again, not to single her out, but we could say it of anybody, but, you know, when somebody's kid's sick and they need to come in later or, you know, things like that, you know, it's, you know, kind of the one hand washes the other,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But my, kind of my point was, is when I used to do expense reports and you had to print out something from MapQuest
Yes,
and submit
Yes.
it, I wouldn't do them either. It cost myself thousands
Yeah.
of dollars a year.
Okay, so I'm gonna
There's
take
nice
out that
systems that are out there that are like,
25,000 right now.
there you go, and
And
it comes to my paycheck.
by doing that,
I did it in Will Warson.
I
we
used
are
to do it as
5,000,
part
we are
of the timesheet.
5,300 under the fund balance.
There you go.
Woo! 53
That's
under.
it.
Wait, what?
Instead of an
5,300 under.
And what this means is the average taxpayer, the average household will pay $23 more a year in taxes than this
$2 a
year.
month.
We are, but
50
I
cents a
think,
week.
you know, when we say that to people, we have to say that isn't because our budget is crazy, it's because other things are crazy.
Sure.
Now admittedly, that's a 4% increase, but the average
not-
town and highway combined taxes this year is $500 a year. You go to New Paltz, your taxes are $2,000 a year. That's, you know, that's why when and so people understand too, the 2% tax cap is not a 2% increase. There's a lot, it's a complicated
Right.
formula that's based on cost of living increases and all this stuff.
It's like 1.67, sometimes it can be the weirdest.
Yeah, yeah. So we have and we also have been, last year, we were 90,000 under the tax cap. We're able to get some of that back, not the entire 90,000, just a small percentage of it. But our tax cap, to be at the tax cap, we would be at 4.68% increase, which sounds like a lot of money, but a 4.68% increase is only about a $30 a year increase in taxes. You know, we are now at 4.39% increase in the tax levy. And that's 5,000 under the tax cap. So
Well,
there you go.
motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second,
And I made a mess. My shoes are muddy. I gotta sweep the
go
floor.
sweep it up, that's what I do.
Okay. So we adjourned at
You
8:11.
kept your feet very still because you've got cleats, you got.
Oh, they're just my boots, they're regular.
Very cool. Nice job.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you for understanding it so well, and I'll try to get those revenue numbers better from Becky.
Yeah, that's another reason why it'll be nice to have wiggle room.
Let me just, do you want me to wait till I get those numbers from her
Please.
before I send you?
You
So
should.
I'm not gonna have a chance to look at it.
So then,
until
Yeah.
early next
don't
week.
expect it till Friday,
That's,
Okay.
it's perfect.
and I'll get them printed out for you, and, you know, I might be able to bring it to you tomorrow after evening when I see you.
What?
I'll
Okay.
hold the dustpan.
And B, I can probably drop it off at your house
Sure.
either,
All right.
No
either at the
problem.
end of
We'll
tomorrow
do
or
it with
Thursday or Friday.
Thanks.
Let me stop the video. here.
Thank you.
On the road